Hello Horror Hounds, little bit of a change of pace today because Leo over at the Geek Legion of Doom channel was kind enough to tag me in his Sword and Sorcery TV and movie tag. So it gives me a chance to sort of expand my horizons a little bit and talk about something outside horror. Not that I couldn't talk about horror all day long, every day, but fun fact, super fans, I had originally toyed with the idea of making this a horror and sci-fi channel. But decided to just zero in on what I really loved and really knew about. But there are times when I wish I could talk about sci-fi movies, fantasy movies. And now I've got the chance. 10 questions. I'm not encyclopedically into sword and sorcery movies, not like Mandy and Claire over at Deadly Dame's Horror Extravaganza, who he's also tagged. So I am really keen to hear their answers to his 10 questions, and Leo's as well. I won't tag anyone specifically because I don't know specifically anyone who's particularly into this subgenre, but if this piques your interest and you want to answer these questions and you want to, basically consider yourself tagged. But here we go. Question 1. What is your favourite sword and sorcery movie? It's at a pinch, because if I'm in the mood for it, I'm basically really in the mood for it. If I decide to go down a rabbit hole, I'll go down a rabbit hole. If I get it in mind, like happened 6-7 months ago, I'm really in the mood for samurai movies, I'll just watch a ton of samurai movies. So if I'm in the mood for it, anything is really good, anything that scratches that itch. My favourite, probably Clash of the Titans, the Ray Harryhausen Clash of the Titans. So question 2 is what's my least favourite, and I don't feel I've seen enough, like I haven't seen the slew of sort of cheapo Italian sword and sorcery movies. Regular viewers, you will know, given my love for gialli and Italian horror cinema in general, I will probably love them. And if I fall down the rabbit hole of Italian sword and sorcery movies, this channel will probably quickly turn into the Grumpy Andrews Italian sword and sorcery house. So maybe best to step back from that. So I don't have one that I would maybe call the worst. I haven't seen the Conan remake. I've heard that's bad. The second Conan movie is a little disappointing, if memory serves. Nothing I can really nail down as awful though, although I'm sure there are a ton of awful ones out there. Question 3, if you could pick 4 sword and sorcery characters to go on a quest with, who do you pick? I mulled this, I was treating this maybe like a D&D campaign. So, for my mage character, I picked Yin, who is sort of like the wizard from Krull. I didn't want to go with someone like Gandalf, who is ridiculously superpowered, but also wholly unreliable. He's kind of non-interventionist. But Yin from Krull goes on the quest, stays with the group, helps the group. He's actually really, really, really useful. So he's my mage character. I wanted another sort of fantastical character to fill out the group, so I chose Una, the fairy creature from Ridley Scott's Legend. And then I chose a couple who were very similar, so I might have to swap one out. I chose Sinbad from the Ray Harryhausen Sinbad movies, you know, Seventh Voyage of Sinbad and the like, because he's pretty tasty, gets stuff done, he's very dependable. But then I chose Inigo Montoya from The Princess Bride, and they seem to both fit a very similar slot. So if I was thinking, well, who would be my brawns? And I sort of plumped for Conan, but I'm not really sure Conan is particularly a team player. So I'm not sure who to sit on the sub bench out of those 5. Sorry, I know I didn't whittle it down to 4, but this is why I'm not a football manager. I can't decide who goes on the pitch and who stays on the bench. Next question. You can pick any weapon from a sword and sorcery movie. What do you pick? I asked my girlfriend this question last night to see if she would come up with the same answer as me, and she did come up with the same answer as me. Now, Leo did say you can pick Excalibur, which is obviously the probably the most powerful weapon in all of Sword and Sorcery that you could have. It comes with far too much responsibility. The weapon that I instantly thought of, that I will stick with, that my girlfriend instantly thought of, and that she would stick with, is the Glaive from Krull. Clearly, the best design, the best sort of fantasy weapon in all of cinema. I want the Glaive. The first time I watched Krull, I wanted the Glaive. And now as a 43-year-old man, sort of knocking on the door of 44, I still want the Glaive. Question number 5. What Sword and Sorcery IP needs a reboot or remake? I think the world could maybe do with a... We've tried Conan. It kind of didn't work, even though Jason Momoa is probably the perfect cast for Conan. Has there been a Red Sonja remake? Because my mind went to Red Sonja. I don't know if there's been a remake and that's failed. Even if it has failed, I would try again. There is still a space for these movies in today's society, and that'll take us to one of the later questions. Question number 6. What is your favourite Sword and Sorcery TV show? I'm a child of the 80s, so all day long, the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon. It's a Dungeons and Dragons ride! Uni! Venger is one of the most badass baddies ever. Tiamat is one of the greatest antagonists of all time, and I'm actually rethinking my answer for the last question, but we'll get to that later. Tiamat, Venger, what was Venger's sort of shadow that he set out to spy? Anyway, the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon was brilliant. You can... Game of Thrones fans, of which I consider myself one, yeah, that's all well and good, but Dungeons and Dragons. Next question. With a few exceptions, Sword and Sorcery is traditionally one of the most un-PC genres. Where do you see the genre going, and what would you like to see? Traditionally, yes, it probably is, but if we're stretching back through the annals of time, pretty much most genres were, by today's standards, to some degree or another, un-PC. Certainly the horror genre was. The horror genre is a strange one. It's simultaneously in the past un-PC and remarkably progressive with regards to representation. So my particular genre of choice is an odd one. It's an odd mixture. So yeah, I can see where Leo's getting at. You know, the roided out alpha male, the women as objects to be won or saved or ogled. But that has been true of many genres. So there is absolutely no reason why there can't be a place now for Sword and Sorcery movies. It just doesn't do that. Question 8 is, do you have any special edition releases of Sword and Sorcery movies or merchandise that you love? No merch, no real special editions, although recently I ordered myself these Clash of the Titans and 4 other Ray Harryhausen movies. Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, Golden Voyage of Sinbad, Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger, and Jason and the Argonauts. I might count that as a special edition if that's all right. Winging its way to me in the post as we speak, and I'm hoping it actually arrives today, is the from Eureka, the Masters of Cinema Thief of Baghdad from I think 1924, so that's where my jam sort of is. Question number 9, what Hollywood actor would you cast as He-Man or She-Ra in an action movie? Gina Carano. I would cast Gina Carano in anything. I think we need more Gina Carano movies. I certainly know I need to be able to look at Gina Carano more. There you go. And question number 10. What is your favourite on-screen dragon TV or movie? So a few minutes ago I mentioned Tiamat and that gave me pause. So can I do TV and movie? TV, Tiamat from the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon. Movies. Disney's Dragon Slayer. Really unsung, really underrated gem of a movie. That dragon is called Vermithrax Pejorative. And if you want, Disney went through a weird dark period. I'm gonna do a video at some point about dark Disney. Dragon Slayer sits right in there. It's a really good movie. If you haven't seen it and you sort of like your fantasy movies, your sword and sorcery movies, and you like your dragons, check out Dragon Slayer. What's she called? Vermithrax Pejorative is my favourite movie dragon. If you love sword and sorcery movies, consider yourself a tag-ed.